for it. Morning, everyone. Welcome to Higher Moment Mastermind. We were just talking about what a snowy day we have here. So for those of you in the DMV, hope you enjoy it. Okay, so as per usual, we are here to answer your job search questions. Myself and Alki Thompson and Vern Schellinger, we both come from both sides of the hiring aisle on recruiting and coaching and all things. And with time permitting, we have been recently breaking people out into little Zoom rooms so that you all can network with each other and help share LinkedIn contacts. So time permitting, we will do that. But for the moment, wanted to open it up and see who might have a job search question that we can address. And let's see where we can go do some deep diving. So who'd like to kick us off? Don't be shy. Sherry, do you have a question? I'll pull you out.
Do not have a question for you right now.
Right now, or would you like to share something particular about your job search? Maybe a good thing that happened or a little struggle you've had and how we can.
Okay, so I today I'm working on two applications, and one is for a job that I know 100% is open and available. And yesterday, I spoke to a former colleague who actually works at this other employer now, so I know that I need to. I might not stay for very long today. That's part of what I'm leading up to because I need to apply. I want to apply for that job today, and she's going to make sure to let the HR people know and the CEO, if you will, know that I am applying for that role. So
All
I'm
right, so
feeling
let's just pause on what you just said because
Right.
I know
okay.
Alfie and Vern are like we're nodding our heads exactly the last thing you just said. Let's not blow by that. That's very, very important that you are actually having an internal champion recommend you and let people know. Guys, that is one of the most important things that Sherry could have said right now. I want to highlight that. She didn't just say, I'm applying. She says, I'm letting people know so that they can champion me and get me visibility. HUGE, huge exclamation point, underscore, boldface, the whole 9 yards. Because absent of that, Sherry, your resume is very likely to get lost in the sauce, not get noticed for all kinds of reasons. Right? Now, if that job, especially if that job's been posted publicly and they're getting hundreds of applications, right? But if it's not, if it's part of kind of the hidden job market where it's, just being taught casually shared with colleagues, you have a better chance. But even so, it's really about somebody championing you, getting you noticed so you can say, all right, at least somebody will meet you. Now, of course, the interview part is the different piece, right? But just getting yourself to the interview is a really big challenge these days. And having that internal champion there's nothing like it.
1000%, which is actually one reason why I told the story. I have been at this search for an extraordinarily long period of time. It feels like trying to get hit by lightning while standing in an open field on a clear day. It's almost impossible. And having that internal champion at just the right moment is a challenge so yes, we want the internal champions whenever we can find them. I find that extremely difficult. This particular role, I don't want to go into a bunch of detail, but it's rather niche. There will not be thousands of people applying for this particular position,
right.
and thousands of people won't know about it.
Right.
And I do have very niche experience for this particular role. So yeah, so we will see how things go from here.
Let's go one level out from that. And Andrew, I do see your hand. We've said this before on this call, but I think it's worth repeating. So we just mentioned the internal champion thing. I want to flip to the other side, and you just said, Sherry, something else. Oh, how cute, how cute little chihuahua. So I want to highlight something else you just mentioned, which is that it's very niche, basically unicorn skills. We want to acknowledge the employer side of the equation. We always say here that employers are risk averse. We always say that. It's a constant repeat here. What we mean by that is the employer has business needs that they need to solve, and they're looking for what they're looking for. To the extent that you can apply for jobs where you fit the bill very, very closely, that will increase your chances. If you apply for a role just because you're interested, but you may not be qualified, that lessens your chances greatly. I'm not saying that people don't shift careers and do all interesting things, but when that happens, it's typically because there is an internal champion who looks at your background, who says, look, okay, Sherry, she's great. I know she doesn't fit the bill 100%, but you still have to meet her because. But if it's just a piece of paper, if it's just a job description or a job posting and just your resume and you don't have a lot of the qualifications they're looking for, they're very likely to overlook you. When you can get championed and someone can explain your background and say why you are fit, despite the fact that you don't have the 10 things, that's much more helpful. So again, the internal champion can be very important, especially if you're looking to make a pivot.
Yeah,
And I hear what you're saying, Shira, and that all makes sense. However, finding that internal champion at places, many of the types of places that I'm interested in working don't have a whole bunch of roles,
Yeah.
that I would be interested in. So finding an internal champion at a list of, coming up with a target list of companies because I keep hearing this advice, come up with your target list of companies of 10, 20, 100, whatever it is. And then trying to find internal champion, trying to network one's way in that's why I refer to it as like trying to be hit by lightning, because
to what extent, and I know we've talked about this in this call, and Andrew, I still see your hand. To what extent have you leveraged LinkedIn to find those internal champions, to find those mutual connections?
Sorry, I didn't mean to roll my eyes. I will tell you that I'm not a huge LinkedIn fan. I'm on LinkedIn. I have LinkedIn Premium because I'm job hunting. I have, excuse me, reached out to people so many times, and I will say that upwards of 95% of the time, they don't respond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And look, I don't want to, so that's, I don't want to get into a bunch of negativity. There are probably things I could be doing to try to leverage it more. I will say that because I have a lot of experience in the education sector and in the communications, but in the education world, in nonprofits, in museums, I don't see, there's not a lot of, people are not super active. I know a zillion people at the Smithsonian, they are not particularly active on LinkedIn.
For sure. And and you're right, in certain sectors, that is the case. Vern, do you want to?
Well, I was just going to say, all the more reason, to find those internal champions throughout your career. The more people you could meet, the more people you can build relationships with, which takes time and takes effort. But the more of that you do, the greater likelihood you'll be able to have an internal champion somewhere. So that's kind of that's a long term. That's a long
that is a long term thing. And just the only other thing that I would say is that, in addition to the internal champion, perhaps if one is working with having someone else who can speak on your behalf, I will tell you that I found it less agonizing completing this resume and cover letter, because I know that I have this person who will also speak for me and be that internal champion, which is great. But finding other people to speak on one's behalf and to advocate on one's behalf is necessary. I will say that often people are not even, anyway.
So one quick thing, Sherry,
I want to just stop.
I'd like to give a piece of technical advice, okay, that a lot of people aren't thinking about necessarily, although you might have. So when we talk about finding an internal champion and we talk about leveraging LinkedIn, okay, we are suggesting that when you go and do a search in the search bar, and you go put the name, for example, put the name of the organization in, hit enter, the people come up, right? And you look through and you see who's the hiring manager, who's the CEO, right? Number one, we hope and pray that somebody is at least a second level connection to you. Okay, we know that part, which means, of course, you're trying to leverage your mutual first level connection. But Sherry, to your point, a lot of people aren't checking LinkedIn, not active, right? Gainfully employed people are like, they don't check it until they're in job search. However, a technical tip for you is this: do two things. Yes, send a message to your first level connection on LinkedIn. Also send them an email. And if you do not know what their email is, you go here and you open up that first level connection and you click on the contact info. And typically you will see it right there. So I recommend doing both. Now you might have done that, but I'm just saying for those of you on the call who have not, that's why I'm spending so much time sharing with you, because everything you're sharing is relevant to everybody. Okay. So for those who don't know that, do both. And of course, send a carrier pigeon, but we joke about that. But it is important to hit people up multiple ways.
Thank you for bringing that up because yes, I did know that, and for whatever reason, many slash most of the people do, I've looked up don't have it there. But people should know that there are other sources where you can look up. You can try. I've used Hunter.io.
Signal
I
Hire.
have
Signal Hire is another one. Signal
yes.
HIRE. Yeah. Zoom
So
Info.
I've used various tools to try to find people's, just so that other people know that there are other tools you can use to really try to find someone's email address.
And
Alki.
outside of what Sherry's saying too, just zooming out to everybody on the call, and we do talk about this a lot, but yeah, everybody is in a different space. LinkedIn is great for certain industries and backgrounds, a lot of them, but not necessarily everybody. And also, even if you have the email, they may not email back. And it does take work, to Sherry's point. And if you're not, if you're not in sales, if you're not a hunter, and still a lot of people looking for roles have been looking for 6 months, 5 months. It's tiring, it's exhausting, it takes a lot of work. People aren't responding back. This is a crazy market that we're in. So right now, a lot of the tools and the things that everybody's saying it's not necessarily working for everyone. And again, it takes a lot of gusto, it takes a lot of juice and hydrating to last in this market. But there's also a lot of different ways to go at it. But it's definitely not, to Vern's point, it's not easy. It takes effort. It takes stick to it. It also takes some creativity. And Sherry mentioned a second ago too, having someone else to do it. It's okay to raise your hand too and go, hey, I just don't love doing this. So I do need to find somebody, recruiter or a headhunter or somebody to help me look on my behalf, or to work with someone to show you other avenues, or to show you how to do other forms of networking and all those types of things. But right now, it's not easy right now. So for everyone, it's not easy.
So stick to it.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful. Everything.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's
Congrats on the opportunity too.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. Andrew, you've been patient.
Yeah, I got a question. I get calls from recruiters, and they I asked them to describe the job description, and it's a job I did for 5 years, but it was 20 years ago. And as soon as I said 20 years ago, they're like, "All right, that's it. We don't want to talk to you. We need somebody with current experience." And nothing's changed in that field. It's still the same as it's been 20 years ago. So what do I do?
Alki, you want to address this one?
Um, I'm laughing, but I shouldn't be laughing, because I don't want to call it all age discrimination, but sort of, or at the doorstep, or close, or age bias to some degree. And also, yeah, they could relevantly need somebody who has, what they think is more recent experience. So I think it's more so, all three of us on this call, we talk a lot lately about branding and how you present yourself and how you market yourself. And it's really kind of rebranding, redefining how you communicate and present. Because to me personally, I'm not one who says throw your entire resume in somebody's face, especially if you're seasoned, throw your entire resume in somebody's face as your first introduction to them. Sometimes it's good just to give them a tidbit and a little bit, and just kind of nibble away at the mutual matches and those types of things. And so back in the day, it used to be good to say, hey, I've got 20 years. I know what I'm doing. Now they're like, oh, you got 20 years. We're going to run from you because that scares us. We can't pay you. You're not going to be here forever. We don't want to pay retirement, all those types of things. So now it's more looking at what they're presenting and their job descriptions and what they're asking for, and starting the conversation off with, hey, I'm seasoned, but hey, I'm really curious in what the job is about, and you tell me what your needs are and what was the last person like, and get as much intel as you can, and that kind of helps you shape how you can answer their questions to match what they're looking for. But yeah, leading off right now in most fields, with all of your experience, it's unfortunate, but people are now using that against you.
So Andrew, just to kind of
Is there,
go a little deeper, I think it was more that that experience that they want you to have, you had 20 years ago, but you haven't had it for the last X number of years. Is that right?
yeah,
Correct.
yeah,
Okay. So
So if
six,
you don't tie your old together with the new, to
yeah,
Shira's point,
that's
that's
what it
part of it
is.
too. That's a big part of it too, is that if you just present 20 years as opposed to, hey, I've been doing it for 20 years and I'm up on my new stuff. I've done all the new trainings, I've done all
Exactly.
the recent
Right.
certifications and all of that.
I
Adding that with it brings you current. But
right.
yeah,
I
if you
cut
just
my
leave the
teeth
20
on
years by
this.
itself, yeah.
I cut my
yeah,
teeth on this all that time back. And since then I've been enhancing my skills and
Mhm.
have well-rounded experience, but I learned even as far back as then. And now I have even more skills to add on to it. Vern?
yeah. But yeah, Elke and Shira, just give me any feedback on this. But I think there's another dynamic here. So I'm a recruiter. I'm got a lot of jobs. I'm calling out. I'm reaching out to people, um, and I'm recruiting and I have this relationship with a company, and yeah, Andrew's got, I did the work, but it's 20 years ago. How can I possibly present that resume to the company? I'll look bad. All right. So they're wiping you off and they're going one after the other. They're talking to hundreds of people a day, and they're just trying to find the needle in the haystack, so to speak.
That's right.
So it's almost as much about them
Mhm.
saying, "Oh God, this won't work," as it is about, who you are. Because I mean, this is a stranger. I mean, you don't know them, they don't know you other than what they see on the resume.
Yeah.
And so they're more interested in their own performance than, this just doesn't fit and I want to move on. I've got to use my time efficiently. That doesn't mean that you don't have the actual skills to do this job in today's environment. And what you may want to do is try to look for other opportunities where those skills are a fit. And then you've got to get an internal champion, or you've got to find somebody who's going to vouch for you to land a job like that.
And also
Yeah.
it's you want to try to focus it away from your when you did it, but the fact that you have the skills. A lot of recruiters like, oh, what have you done in the last 5 to 10 years? It's not about that. You have if we've all learned to ride a bike when we were 7 years old. I haven't ridden honestly, I haven't ridden a bike in a long time, but I can ride one. I'm sure. Get back on it, right? We know the analogy. It's the same thing. I would encourage you, Andrew, to de-emphasize the when and more emphasize the what. When they say, can you, have you? Yes, I have. Yes, I can. Let me explain to you my skill set. Let me share with you an example of a time when I did X. Now, I realize that they might push you and say, well, when? But you can say, let me focus. I learned it as early back as this time frame if they need it. But focus on what you know how to do and then ask them questions. So let's talk more about this role and what kind of skills and experiences you need. What are the challenges that I'm going to be facing? What's going to set me up for success? Ask them strategic questions about their goals and the departmental goals and all of these things. And then you can speak into their needs with your skill set, not the when you did it, but what you actually know how to do. That might help.
And on top of that, Andrew, I didn't ask. Forgive me. Let me ask you this too, because we all kind of jumped in, and you made me think of something. So you said recruiters have been contacting you, or one recruiter contacted you. Was this out of the blue, or was it in response to a role you applied for?
Out of the blue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you started, so did he or she say where they saw you?
LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And is your LinkedIn reflective of your experience?
Yes.
So so on behalf of recruiters, um, I can even say, like, so that recruiter should have looked and saw, hey, depending on what you have there, you may not have everything there, but if you have enough of your years there, they should at least kind of be able to see, what you've been doing over the last 20 years. And so not all recruiters are the same, but I would be more interested if I called you out of the blue, I'd be more interested in, hey, tell me about you're basically tell me about your career. And I might stop at different stops along the way, because if I know enough about your industry, I would know, hey, so your current role or your most recent role, you're in X. So are you doing XYZ type of things and these type of things? And we'd have a conversation about that and what you're doing recently. And I'd probably work my way backwards just to get an idea if I reached out to you. But it's almost, I almost put this on the recruiter, depending on what's on your LinkedIn, to reach out to you, and then you basically confirm, like, yeah, this is what I've been doing for a while, but some of these things aren't up to date. And to Vern's point, sometimes it just is what it is. They may go, yeah, I saw your 20 years, but I just wanted to find out if you're up on your certifications and all those types of things. That's another conversation. To Shira's point, when I was listening to her, it's something I always tell candidates too. This is when the interview becomes you interviewing them, because it's more about, hey, so why don't we pause this? What are you looking for? What are you interested in before we go down this road? Like, you see what I've done, you kind of see the field in it. Are you looking for somebody who more so has worked with, this or CAD or this over here or this? And you kind of get an idea of where the conversation is going. And I think that's important for everybody on the call too, who has lots of experience, is nowadays, just being honest, instead of throwing, again, your years and your experience out. It's hard to know what they're looking for. If it's current, do they want, somebody who's seasoned? Do they want somebody who has all the latest tech and all of that? You can't really possibly know these things other than a job description or by asking a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I want to welcome Diane to the conversation. Hi, Diane. And Diane had a question, and Diane, I'm not quite sure I understand your question. So maybe just, or your comment, just ask it to the group.
No, I came in late. So, Andrew, my apologies. I think it was Andrew that had asked the earlier question.
Yeah.
And I know you were talking about how it sounds like how long ago that you had or that you used a specific skill. I mean, I get asked that question a lot, and I guess I've never thought about it in a time frame. I've always addressed it as like what I was doing or at my maybe what company or what position. Not so much as, well, that was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years, or 20 years ago. I guess and I didn't hear the question, so that was just my first thought.
Okay.
yeah. And that was what it was. A recruiter asked Andrew, so when did you do it? And he said 20 years ago, and they dismissed him like, oh, we want someone with recent experience. So let me give another framing. I feel like this could be helpful. So recently I've started saying to job seekers, ready? You need to think like an Inc. What do I mean by that? Think like incorporated. Think like an Inc. Think like you're a small business. Now, myself and Alki and Vern we are small businesses. We are solopreneurs, right? We market our services to clients. Have you ever been in a position where you are the person hiring a vendor? Especially professionally, when you were in a professional role and there was a consultant, a vendor, somebody who came to your doorstep and wanted to sell you something, and you actually took the meeting and you sat down with them, and right. And have you ever said to them, all right, so basically tell me what you got. Tell me what you do, Mr. Vendor, Mr. Consultant. A really good consultant, a really good business is not just going to answer that question by saying, oh, let me tell you all of my experience. They're going to start by asking you questions. They're going to start by walking a mile in your shoes, understanding who you are, and they're going to be demonstrating their expertise by the type of questions they ask. You know if somebody knows what they're talking about by the type of questions they ask. Let's say you get somebody who wants to renovate your kitchen or fix your plumbing or whatever. You know that plumber or that home renovator knows what they're doing when they're starting to ask you about the this and the joints in the wall and the asbestos and the I don't know whatever, right? And they start talking the jargon. You're like, oh, you know what you're talking about. Okay. That's part of how you can demonstrate your expertise, by asking the type of questions that demonstrate your expertise. Does this make sense? We have to do this all the time, we as consultants. And I will tell you, you can know the difference between somebody who knows what they're doing and somebody who doesn't by the questions that they ask. Have you ever found that to be true in your interviews? Have you ever shown that at any point in the conversation where you're like, oh, Mr. Employer, let me ask you this strategic question about your blah, 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 blah. And you're using jargon and you're being holistic and they're like, oh, you know what you're talking about. That's a really good way, Andrew, for you to overcome the experience thing, by flipping it quickly and saying, hey, absolutely, I have that experience. Can I ask you a couple of questions around this role as it relates to that experience? And you start jargon, and being strategic, and they'll be like, oh, wow, he totally knows what he's talking about. Andrew, why else do you think they have a problem with the 20 years? They think that your skills aren't relevant anymore. They think erroneously that you don't know what you're talking about anymore, but that's not true. You do, especially when you said earlier, things haven't changed much in that sector. It's still, you should be able to easily say, oh, well, let me demonstrate to you my experience. I have a couple of questions for you. Are you guys doing this? Are you using that? Do you need me to do blah, 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 blah? And they're like, oh, he knows what he's talking about. Does that make sense? You can flip it and you can bring it current by showing them that you know what you're doing by asking good questions.
Yeah. Let me give you another example of asking a good question. And this is not from a consultant standpoint. This was an actual interview that I was in with a very senior person in the organization. And it was for a senior role in human resources. And the person said to me, they started the interview by saying, I'm really under a lot of pressure because Howard, the former employee who had just retired, was so loved by everyone in this organization. And if I don't get somebody as good as Howard, and he went on and telling me all these things about Howard. And I'm saying, okay, this is supposed to be an interview and you're supposed to be learning about me. And all I'm hearing is about Howard. I finally said, can you tell me what it was that Howard did that made him loved by everybody? Okay. And so he started to give me some things. And then I could say, well, let me give you, yeah, that's something that I'm familiar with. And I give him an example of I did exactly what Howard did. Okay. But it was so asking questions is so powerful in an interview to really understand what they're looking for and then be able to position yourself as someone who, hey, I can do that.
Is this helpful? Yeah. You just got to walk a mile in the employer's shoes and show them that you know what you're talking about. What would it take to be successful? What are the challenges you're facing? But not just generic questions, specific questions that speak to your industry knowledge or your professional knowledge about what they do. So for example, somebody like Monica who's in marketing, right? If she's going to try to demonstrate her expertise by asking great questions, she might ask them about, okay, what kind of inbound marketing systems do you use? And tell me about your audience segmentation and what kind of messaging are you? She would use marketing jargon to show people she understands the sector. Sherry would have completely different questions because she's in education. She's not in marketing, right? Like, so you have to really speak to what your background is and show them that it's aligned. And then really have a conversation with them and try to do that too. It's not even just you asking questions. Try to make it a game of tennis, not racquetball. You know, in interviews is normally racquetball. They cue you and you're the wall, you A. Cue, A, cue. Now, tennis, they cue, you A, you cue, they A, back, forth, and really turn it into something that's more lively so that they get that you know what you're doing. Make sense?
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Who else has a question that we can start diving into again?
I have a question. This is, I might know the answer already, but I had a weird email address recruiter reach out to me and provide his LinkedIn bio. And so what I did was I contacted him on LinkedIn and just said I got this email, it's like outlook.com and was kind of odd. I said it politely, can you just confirm who you are? Because the person is connected to two people that I really respect, and they're both military connected people that I highly respect. And so if he is connected to those two people, I'm very interested. But if it's an impersonator, I'm not. And so, I emailed and said that I had responded by LinkedIn DM. He didn't respond to the LinkedIn DM. And so like now I got another email at 6:30 in the morning saying, hi, how are you? And so I'm I don't know what to do. I don't want to blow off somebody, but at the same time, it just feels weird.
Monica, not to get too specific here, but when you said you got an email or an email at 6:30 in the morning or a text?
Yeah, 6:30 in the morning. Of course,
And
I'm not
and
up, but yeah,
and
that's a weird time frame for people to be sending email.
it's true. Number one, number two, I'm sorry to get too specific here.
Yeah.
Did it literally just say hi, comma, how are you? That's it?
Let me see what it says. Yeah, it's a weird email. It says, "Hello, how are you doing today?" That's
Oh yeah,
it.
that's spammy. That's
Yeah,
totally
Yeah,
spammy.
and
spam.
so, but like I said, on LinkedIn, he seems legitimate, but the email address is completely generic,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
it's an outlook.com email.
Right. If
Well, he,
that I think that's your confirmation. Because had you not said that, I would say, well, so maybe someone's using a person. That's spammy for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I've had that happen to me probably a half a dozen times, and it could be a bot for all you know,
That's right.
just sending these out and trying to somehow connect with you, somehow
Yeah.
get you interested in something, and you're going to go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, well, the legitimate person would be legitimate, but I have
You did the
no.
right thing,
Well,
Monica.
how do you know the person's legitimate?
Yeah.
I don't. Well, the LinkedIn person is legitimate, but
Well,
I
no,
can't
Look,
I'm
read
look
saying,
somebody.
how do
like
you know the LinkedIn
Yeah,
person's
you
they look
don't.
that
legitimate?
way.
They
Yeah.
may
Yeah.
look that way. They may have the names of two people you highly respect,
Right.
but maybe they're not linked to them at all.
Hmm.
Well, and Monica, there's a lot of people that accept every LinkedIn invite. I will give you an example. Do you know the TV show American Ninja Warrior? I
Yeah.
got an invite from one of those hosts from American Ninja Warrior about 3, 4 years ago. And he was connected with people I know. And one of my former coworkers, I texted him. I'm like, "Do you know this guy? Because to me, this looks like a bot sending me a fake invite." And he never responded. I think because my friend Vince, I mean, we text each other once. I think he was embarrassed.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you got to be
no.
careful.
Yeah, well, a couple years ago, there was a major incident where there was somebody who was completely fake. I don't remember if they were like a Russian and they were pretending to be at think tanks. And so I had not one but two people I was connected to this person that made the news that wasn't real. So I mean, and they were very respectable people.
Monica, you did the right thing. You double checked it. That's good Spidey sense. Okay. To do that. And I think it's real honestly, it's good that you brought that up because there is more and more of that kind of thing out there. Double
Yeah,
check.
yeah.
Double check. Yeah, it's good.
In fact, I'm becoming uh, almost risk averse. I mean, I just see I can't and it's getting so good, you can't really tell,
Hmm. Right.
whether this is a scam or somebody that is real. It's so the wonders of technology.
You talking
Well,
about LinkedIn profiles fake or fraud?
What's that?
You talking about
Yeah,
LinkedIn
hey, this
profiles?
is
Right.
this is
LinkedIn and beyond.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
LinkedIn profile looks legitimate,
this
but
is
But the email, like the person is allegedly, I think it was in Utah. So like somebody at Utah sending email at 6:30 a.m. Eastern
Yeah.
Standard Time seems
Yeah.
really implausible.
Right.
Yeah.
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 That's good for you to flag it. And I think that's good that you brought that up, Monica, because we don't typically talk about that on this call. These days to be extra careful about things that look a little suspicious.
and you can
yeah,
click on, because I've had it
this
happen a
is
couple times. Sorry, I was gonna say
Oh,
I had it happen a couple times recently where I'll click into their profile and their profile, LinkedIn profile's maybe a year or two old, and they'll have less than 100 or maybe 100 contacts. And like that even too is suspicious.
I think Paris has got a question.
So Pal, what is your how do
Or
you pronounce your first name?
yeah. Hi, this is Pals,
Pals.
Pals Nagaraj. Yeah, yeah. Actually, I also came across that fake recruiters. So I tested LinkedIn. Does LinkedIn allow verify when you register yourself with as a employee of a company? It doesn't verify. I can go and register myself as the employee of any company. Okay, that's the problem. So people go and register. I also got a couple of messages like that. It is like a pattern. So one guy will say, "Hey, my manager is interested in your resume, and we have these opportunities." My manager will contact you through WhatsApp. So I got a couple of contacts from WhatsApp. Then I checked the person's name with the company. Yes, they exist in the company as an employee of the company. If you go to the company profile, then I go and look for people and put their name. It will show this person is already there. I was really very suspicious. And then tested LinkedIn. If it allows me to register as an employee of any company, LinkedIn does allow you to register yourself as an employee of any company. So these scammers, they go and register themselves as employee of that particular company. Then they will come and scout for the people to recruit, or I don't know, whatever it is. And one guy said he is a temporary recruiter for one of the big companies. Then I really trusted. I wanted to explore what he's doing. Then he said that, oh, hey, your resume looks very good. You were very fit for our one of our executive positions. My manager in that, I'm a temporary recruiter for this company. The recruiter in that company will contact you via WhatsApp. So she contacted me via WhatsApp. I also responded. Then I got suspicious. I did not send my resume to her. Then she said, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you keeping quiet? Why there is no response from you?" I just ignored her. Then the guy who said the temporary recruiter in the LinkedIn who first contacted me, he got angry. He said, "Oh, you did not respond to my manager there, so you lost the job. We don't want to work with you." So this
Yeah.
So there are a couple
Yeah.
of things like that I encountered, like few of these things, and also I just wanted to share with you. The problem here is LinkedIn does not validate
No,
when somebody registers themselves as an employee of some company. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So
you got to be extra careful for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
recruiters
exactly,
don't
yeah,
talk like that.
and
I I
exactly.
I have a resource. I don't want to advertise him per se on this call. You can feel free to reach out to me separately. But I met a gentleman on LinkedIn who spends his time removing fake jobs, fake postings. He does a few presentations and trainings on this. But just coming from us, number one, I mean, you do what you everybody on this call do what you want to do, but you also should do what you need to do to protect yourselves. Anybody who wants to go routes like, some people use WhatsApp. I use it, but not for things like this. I mean, I'm not even in the job search, and I get spam on WhatsApp. I think everybody gets spam on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a good flag kind of for potential, fraud and all of that. And anybody who doesn't answer, general questions or have a legitimate email address or is willing to do everything that they can to ensure your security or answer your questions, that's probably a good sign. And on LinkedIn, to that point, there are some things you can look for as well on LinkedIn besides the number of connections. You can check recent posts to see if they posted anything. You can check and see, what their history and their background looks like. But to Shira's point and Vern's point, you should be highly cautious about your privacy and your security in the job search. And again, to Shira's point, most legitimate recruiters, we present legitimately.
Well, yeah, we present professionally. If anything, it's more that you get, ghosted by the recruiter rather than them following up and nagging you like that, which is unfortunate. It shouldn't happen that way either. But typically they're going to be professional, right, in their outreach to you. It's a very interesting conversation about technology. Oh, by the way, on the positive side, I wanted to share with you guys, speaking of LinkedIn, I'm not sure if you noticed in the last few weeks, when you go to the search bar in LinkedIn, it used to just be a blank search bar. It changed recently. And now it says, I'm looking for dot, dot, dot. Well, what happened was apparently LinkedIn now is now using AI and hadn't been doing that before. It used to be when you would do a search, or let's just say we recruiters, that's really who often uses this tool. When we recruiters would use that search bar to go find people, everything was very keyword sensitive. It was like, if I'm looking for a director of market, me as a recruiter, if I'm looking for a director of marketing, I'm gonna have to put director of marketing in the search. And the only people who would come up would be people who more or less had that phrase in their career headline. Well, it's apparently changed recently. And now it's AI sensitive, which is a good thing. And what it now can do is when you go in there and you're looking for people, you don't just have to say, oh, well, it's Sherry, like you're in higher ed, right? So you don't just have to say XYZ academic, blah, 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 and look for people. You can actually give it a question or a phrase. I'm looking for somebody who will help me penetrate XYZ market, or somebody who has this kind of background, that kind of, you can actually put in a whole phrase, and it's going to come up with people whose experience or whose background actually could be relevant to your question. So it's a little more chat GPT-ish than it ever has been. So just be aware of that so you can leverage it more holistically than you ever have been able to do. Now, I don't know all of the, the accuracy of the results or whatever, but at least apparently it has more options now for you to play around with it than it did before. So it's just good news.
Is there a write-up on instructions on how to find people that you
I
could
found a
talk to?
LinkedIn article, a post by a somebody. I don't know if I guess it was a coach or somebody, and I meant to grab it and then I lost it because the thread changed. So she didn't give instructions other than she said like just put in whatever question you're interested in, however you want to go find people, whatever reason you want to go find people for, just talk to it and see what it comes up with. It might give you some other interesting people that you may not have come up with otherwise. So now I haven't found any instructions, but just try different kinds of prompts, just like you would with ChatGPT, and see what comes up. Never know. It's just better apparently than it was before.
I have, and so this is before the AI update, and that sounds really good. So I have a LinkedIn consultant that I've had. She's pretty pricey, but I've had her update my LinkedIn probably about 5 times over the year, and she just did it again in September. But I know she would always say, put in keywords. And especially, so I have free LinkedIn services, or paid LinkedIn services, so I get more search. But she'd always say, between keywords, put in all caps, A-N-D, and it just helps you like kind of define your search that much better.
Yeah, you can do some Boolean searching. You can put quotation marks around a phrase. So there are things that can help narrow the search down. So for sure. And flipping that with when you're doing your own LinkedIn profile, make sure that this is important for your branding, make sure that the keywords that are in your profession, or what we say, your lane and your community. Your lane is what you do, your community is who you do it for. So it's, marketing for Monica for her lane and Sherry, higher education for your community, whatever it is. You put that in the career headline underneath your picture. Make sure that the first several words of that career headline specifically mention the keywords that are relevant to the kind of lane you're looking for and the kind of community you're going after, if you're going after a specific community, because LinkedIn's algorithm will be more likely to pick up those words if somebody's doing the kind of search that Diane mentioned. If they're looking for director of marketing, higher education, whatever it is, if somebody's doing that kind of Boolean search, you're going to be more easily findable by that person. So just be really careful about what you put. In other words, your career headline should not say seeking new opportunities. That's not keyword searchable. The keywords need to be the thing that you're looking for. Does that make sense?
And I know one thing she told me is when she works a lot with attorneys, and she said she has to put attorney and lawyer, and because some people just search for one or the other.
Right.
And I know in my last organization, I was trying to hire a a pharmacist, and I kept searching for PharmDs and I was getting nothing. And I finally realized they were all putting pharmacist, and PharmD was not anywhere in their title or head. It was in their degree, but it was not anywhere that was coming up high in search. I would search PharmD and health system. I wanted to hire somebody out of a health system. I couldn't find anybody.
But when you put the term pharmacist, then people started coming up.
Yeah. And I was narrowing it down too. I was doing Massachusetts, Boston, things like that. I was not having any luck, but they were not putting PharmD and pharmacist in their title.
Diane, that's a really great point. And I want everybody to be thinking about what Diane said. You've got to be a bit of a detective. You have to think like a recruiter, because we do that. We're like, oh, well, this didn't work. Let's try this. Let's try this. When you're looking for people who do what you do, who could be a good network, think about the different kinds of ways that people in your sector or people in your profession title themselves, because that could help you get better search results. Thanks,
Well, and
Diane.
I will tell you, after she updates my LinkedIn, then she goes on her computer and does a search for kind of my keywords, if you were going to find me, to see if she can get me on that first page of her results. That's always her goal, is to get me on the first page. So after she did my update in September, I was halfway up the first page.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. That's
Cool.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. This is a great tips.
The only
So,
caveat though is that search results are unique. So what shows up for Diane wouldn't show up for me. So it's not true that somebody can get you high all the time. It would depend on who the user is.
But it'll be better,
Sh-
hopefully more accurate than otherwise.
Shira completely read my mind all the way down to the word detective. I was going to say, and one of the things we're just reiterating on this call is you used to be able to just go to, like, if you left a job today, you used to be able to get on the computer tomorrow, put something basic in a search, and apply for a job or two, and you'd be getting calls by the end of that day and the next day. It's not like that anymore. You might, but now it requires investigation. It requires research, and Shira has mentioned it a couple of times on this call. Think like a recruiter, which you still may not even know that unless you're one of us. And I've been doing it for 15 years. Shira's been doing it for a long time. Everybody I'm talking to is realizing, after a few years of frustration, everybody's realizing, why is it so hard? It's just so hard. I can't find a job. There's so many people looking. It's because now it actually requires work on you all's end. I mean, I'm just sitting here listening now, and I'm like, I'm hearing things like, I have to use AI, I have to use Boolean searches to look for a job. I have to do this, I have to do that. It's switched from you just being able to hit a button and hit submit. Now you're having to do work. You're having to network. You're having to talk to people. You're having to chase people down because they're not chasing you. They're ghosting you. So you're having to follow up. We as recruiters, and I mean, Shira and I still do this, but we used to follow up with you. We used to chase you down. I mean, as we're talking, I've been navigating, making sure that a candidate receives their interview update because it's changed 65 times since last night. And I've been going back and forth since last night, just trying to make sure this candidate attends their hopefully 10 o'clock interview right now. But it didn't used to require this much work on your end, but now you're doing the type of work that we have to do as recruiters, all the behind the scenes things that HR and recruiters used to do. You're having to do that now. So it's not fun, but it is requiring more out of you.
Because the market is flooded. And
Yep.
I think all of us are old enough on this call to remember the days of licking envelopes. Remember, right? And we had to get the cardstock paper with a resume, the whole thing, and faxing. We all know. But at that time, it was harder to submit a resume. You actually had to physically do something to go. I mean, sorry to take you all the way back there to the 90s, but that's what it was. Imagine on the last 30 years, what's happened. Digital made it, but hit the button, hit the button, hit the button, hit the button, flood, 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 flood. And now, especially with AI and Doge and all the downsizings and all the things, the market is just so. Therefore, that's why what is Alki is saying is true. You have to push through. You have to push like salmon swimming upstream. You have to do that. You have to be proactive. You have to think like an ink. You have to think like a business development person and go be proactive. That's our main message here. Be proactive. Don't just wait. Go find the contacts. All right. So to help you guys with networking, we're going to do, we've done a number of times now. We're going to go around the room really quickly, and we're going to share what your lane, you're going to share what your lane in your community is, because we're going to break you out into some quick breakout rooms so you can do some networking. And part of your networking is not only to share with your colleague, hey, here's what I do, but we're also going to have you open up your LinkedIn in that Zoom room, okay, in that breakout. You're going to open up your LinkedIn. I'm going to just go here. And you're going to ask the person, right, who you should be looking for on their behalf, because you want to see if you can identify anybody in your own LinkedIn that could be helpful to them, right? So if I were in a Zoom room with Monica, and I know that Monica's in the marketing world, that's her lane. I'm going to probably start by just putting in marketing. Just start with that and see who's in my world. So I just put in marketing. I'm going to hit the people button. And here we go. Okay. And if I want to be specific, I can do my first levels, because I want to see if I have any first level contacts that might be good for Monica. And I can go down here. Now I could be a little bit more specific. I could say nonprofit because I know that she's generally in that world. Okay. And then see if there are specific people here. I might even, I know that she's interested in the veteran world. I don't even know if this is going to pull up anything. You never know. And here we go. Kind of. All right. Maybe, maybe not. Well, here it goes. Sales and marketing, US Army veteran. I don't know. Okay. The point though is that I want you to do this. You have to partner with your person and say, okay, so what kind of person are you looking to network with? Is it somebody who's more part of a community? So for example, in higher education, which by the way, every community has different ways, different nomenclature. So some people say higher education, right? Some people say, maybe they might put K-16. I don't know. There's different ways of phrases that people might use. The point is that I want you to ask that person what kind of keywords might be appropriate for them to search on your behalf. Take a few minutes, open this up. We're only doing this as a little bit of a taste test. What we really want to encourage you guys to do is go offline, share each other's email contact, right? Create a little Zoom call, do this for real, share your screen and actually have a 30-minute or whatever conversation so that you guys can really help each other. We're just trying to help you, right? Tee that up. Okay. So with that, we're going to go ahead and really quickly go around the room. And I'd like for you all to share. Bye, Sherry. Blessings in your interview. Quickly share your lane, meaning what your profession is, and your community. If you have a community, if you're focused on an industry, mission, or sector, and then we'll figure out, Vern, Alki, and I will kind of figure out, okay, who goes with whom. And I know we have a very diverse crowd today, so we're going to do our best to do some matching. And then we'll put you in a Zoom room for like 10 minutes or so, and you guys can do some networking. Okay. So in this order, going to do Monica, Mark, Diane, Andrew, Pals, and then Dave. All right. So Monica, real quickly, just share your lane and your community.
Well, I have been working in marketing and communications my whole career. I've got some niche expertise in trauma-informed messaging and so forth. My community has been international development, but I'm looking to transition to serving veterans.
Thank you. Mark?
Lane, bank, law, community, financial institutions and banks.
Thank you. All right, Diane?
You're on mute.
Apologies. Hi, healthcare, very much focused on launching products in health systems and collaborating with health system executives. And I'm doing a pretty deep dive right now in AI startups.
Got it. All right, Andrew?
Medical device service installation.
Okay. And Pals?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in the information technology, IT, delivery lead, technology program manager kind of roles.
Got it. And then Dave?
Analytics software, mostly in the federal space lately.
Gotcha. All right. So you're all very, very diverse. I'm just going to I'm doing my best here. So I'm going to put the rooms I'm going to do are Andrew and Diane. I know you're in very different worlds, but there's a little bit of a medical health something going on there. Dave and Pals, you have more of an IT flavor. Mark and Monica, I know you are in very different worlds, but you guys are the last two, and you've met each other before, so that's okay. You never know. I'm going to put you two in a room as well, and then we're going to do the room for my room. Let's do it for 10 minutes. And I guess at that point, you can just, come back in and then we'll just do a couple call outs and then we will wrap up. All right. So ready, set, and go. right. Coming back in. All right, so we have asked this question because this little pilot thing we just did with you, we've done it a number of times now, so we're just kind of iterating as we go. So real quick question, how did that go for you? Just the experience of being in that breakout with your partner, just opening up LinkedIn, how did that feel? Was it good? Is there something we can do to improve it? Because we're trying to help you guys the best we can. Pals, tell us what caused your thumbs up? What'd you like about the experience?
It's a new connection, right? With Dave, I have not met him before, and we shared that how we can help each other,
Good.
and we are going to continue. I had some information, I had some leads for him to pursue from his area, and he worked in SaaS. I know DLA. I worked for the Defense Logistic Agency some time back, and they had a SaaS implementation. DoD has a SaaS implementation, I believe. I thought I will reach out to my friends, and if they are still at the stage, then I will share the information with them. It's
And
really
that's
very good. It's
likely
a
because
new installation, yeah.
you were both in the technology role, and that's lovely because we were
Yeah,
able to match you up.
Yeah,
yeah.
Of course, you're going to
Thank
have
you.
more
Yeah,
synergies, right, when you
yeah,
come from the
yeah,
same lane or the same community. That's just,
yeah,
which is great.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other thoughts around the experience? And again, I know a couple of you, the other breakouts where you were in very different fields or very, not as connected, but how was that for you? Diane and Monica?
I was with Andrew. I thought it was really
Oh, sorry.
good.
I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
But I was with Andrew, but it was funny because when you said, well, different worlds, but I used to work for Boston Scientific, so not completely different.
Oh, okay. 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 Good.
Although we don't
Okay.
they didn't make Pixis machines, but we were just getting into the LinkedIn part when
Okay.
we switched over. But
Okay.
it was really good.
Good. I'm glad. So hopefully you guys will exchange information, right? Make sure that you do that. Put in, if you haven't done it already, in the chat, right? Go ahead and do that. Yeah, that's great. And quickly, Monica and Mark, and I know you guys really are in very different worlds. Any report out of what that was like for you two?
We just we're in the process of checking our various contacts to see whether we've got
Okay.
usable first and second degree contacts. So the continuing
You
conversation.
never know, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the beautiful thing about LinkedIn is that our contacts are expansive beyond our lane and community, and of course, the people that they know, right, are beyond that as well. So, all right. So with that, and by the way, hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Should have opened with that. And so we'll go ahead and look forward to meeting with you guys 2 weeks from now. For those who would like to stay on the call after we formally wrap up, I do offer a short prayer call for encouragement. All right. So with that, wish everybody a blessed day. Enjoy the snow.
Take care, everybody.
And we'll look
Hi,
forward
everyone.
to seeing you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks.